program is proudly brought to you by First National Bank of Botswana. Welcome to First Issues. We are still marching forth in our endeavor to bring you stories that inspire change and encourage bravery to step into new territory by way of entrepreneurship. With unemployment skyrocketing, it is only right to seek ways to make a living without waiting for government or the private sector for jobs. Our new program's platform aims to inspire this new mindset by bringing attention to entrepreneurs who decided to just go for it. Tonight, the attention is on 32-year-old medical doctor Wedu Somolekae, who runs Medi-Glow, which is a medical aesthetics clinic out here in Gaborone, offering services such as platelet-rich plasma injections, weight loss management injections, fillers, skin peels, and the likes. Before this, however, Dr. Somolekae is a general practitioner who graduated from the University of Botswana's School of Medicine, after which she was medical officer in Masunga. She resigned in 2021 to pursue medical aesthetics full-time. Her entry into this field was not very encouraging, as she did locums in various local private clinics here in Gaborone, hoping to popularize her services. Unfortunately, her efforts did not bear any fruit. That is, until she decided to go at it alone with Medi-Glow Clinic. Intrigued by the discipline upon visiting a medical aesthetics clinic in South Africa with a friend and inspired by her own experience with a long fight with skin issues that affected her confidence, going into this felt like a no-brainer. Her services were once offered out of one room in a building, but a year later, she moved to a bigger space, what would have been a 4-bedroomed house if it were a residential dwelling, proving that perseverance, patience, and self-belief make all the difference. With the growth that Dr. Somolekae is experiencing, she hopes to further expand her services in spite of the red tape in medical aesthetics regulation and all other associated challenges. Tonight, we talk to her about her entrepreneurship journey and her enterprise, Medi-Glow.
I did always want to be a doctor, and I thought I was going to go into pediatrics. I love kids, but when I had finished my GP or my Bachelor of Medicine and Surgery, and I was working in the rural areas or in Masunga, I wanted to prepare myself for the studies that I was going to go into to become a pediatrician, but I didn't have peace in my heart. I was very anxious about going back to medical school, and I wasn't quite sure that it was for me. During that time, I visited a clinic in South Africa with a friend of mine, and I was very curious about it. And when I discovered what it was, it excited me. It ignited a fire in me that wasn't there when I was trying to prepare for pediatrics. And so from then on, I never looked back. I went online and I was messaging doctors who are practicing, and I said, listen, I'm interested in what you're doing. How did you get there? What did you study? Some responded, some didn't, but the ones who did helped me find the academies that are offering the training, and I pursued those studies, and here I am today.
Let us speak about something that, had you known then when you started, would have maybe made you approach things a little bit differently?
Something that I know now that I wish I had known then is that the value that's placed on a product or services or a service that you're providing isn't based on your level of confidence in it, it's standard. I started off giving free consultations, which is great, to get people in the door. But as a doctor, a consultation is a consultation, and worldwide it's charged for. So just because I was bringing something new, it didn't necessarily mean I should diminish the value in what it is just because it's not known. So I wish from the onset I had the confidence to say, well, all of the services you bring have value, and whether or not you're feeling confident about it this morning, it is what it is, and you need to stand on that.
I think during one of our off-camera conversations, you had spoken about you actually having some skin issues. How did that play into your decision to become a practitioner in medical aesthetics?
Yeah, so I deeply relate when clients come in with various issues because I struggled a lot growing up with my skin as well as with my teeth. So I had terrible acne. I've been on a medication called Acne-Tane about 3 times because of the acne. I understand when somebody walks in and says, even though I know people aren't always looking at my acne, it feels like they are. It's something I enjoy helping people with because I understand what it feels like because of my own personal journey.
Ta bitsa motho gore motho a leke mangwala go duela metsi.
Mama kana male jana ha o tlhoka le go tsamela kgakala gore go duela metsi FNB re diretse tiro motho
Senthe
ma kwa go marekisetsong a ile gore ana le tshwala FNB Cash Plus se se tlhokanyela ke o mangwa ga go mo tirisong le reference number e bon dinomoro tse diriswang go ruratsa dituelo tsa gago.
FNB what?
FNB Cash Plus.
Madonna makante ke mo ntse samplele ka mananeo ya FNB ya Cash Plus.
Hela ha re le nna ke gone go utang ka dona ebile ke ne ke sa dumele.
Deposit cash and coins, withdraw from e-wallet, make cardless cash withdrawals, buy prepaid airtime and electricity, pay bills such as water, electricity and many more.
FNB dona nyawa ene ke ra sa thare mpare mo tiki na ke ra go motho botho hela mamarapedi o tola skontere hela o bua go se mousung wa go duela se mousung manane wa FNB Cash Plus.
Thank you so much for staying with First Issues as we continue our conversation with Dr. Wedu Somolekae, who is the founder of Medi-Glow Medical Aesthetics Clinic.
What are some hurdles that you've had to navigate with this undertaking? Because you did mention that it is a fairly new practice in medicine in Botswana.
Yes. So first and foremost, just offering a service that people don't understand requires a lot of educating the public about. And so social media those are the platforms I used to try and get it out there. But I did feel sometimes even people who want to support struggle because they don't understand. Like, but we don't know what that is. So a large part of the marketing or just starting out was just educating the public that, okay, this is what a chemical peel is, this is what microneedling is. And despite not knowing what it is, the issues you have, this is what is going to help you with that issue. The second thing was also just in terms of regulation in the country. It's something that's not fully regulated as of yet because it's so new. And so approaching the different regulatory bodies and speaking to them and saying, well, license me or do this. And it's like, has a spa? Just getting different people feeling like it's one thing when it's actually something else. And also in general, most or if not all the products I use in the clinic are from outside. So importing things, the cost that came with that, and even just having the right documentation for that. So yeah, those are some of the main challenges that I experienced when starting out.
But with all of that, especially with the regulatory issues and, importing products, why do you keep doing what you're doing? What is your why? The reason you wake up every morning to do this?
Well, I find a lot of fulfillment in what I do. I think assisting clients with their different issues and how happy it makes them and how empowered they feel to go out to do whatever it is that they want to do It's very, very fulfilling. I think also even as an entrepreneur, seeing the growth of the business going from one place to the next, enjoying the support that clients give and bringing in new products and services, and even just learning more about the field. It's a very dynamic field. There's new things coming up all the time. So I have to keep up with those different updates and different treatments that come up, and that's always very exciting to just find out. Of late, we've been looking into exosomes. There's salmon sperm that people use on their skin, and so all the latest treatments that come up get me so excited to see how they'll assist my clients with the different issues that they have.
Let us speak about growth, right? You're talking about opportunities within this field that you feel are yet to be explored and exploited, actually. So where are you setting your sights on that as far as growth and expansion are concerned?
So in terms of growth and expansion, I would love for the clinic to be bigger in terms of infrastructure, in terms of staff complement and so on. So I'm looking towards expanding even our service provision. I'm also interested in creating a brand of my own in terms of skincare, starting off with a sunscreen, which is in the works at the moment. There is a very prevalent myth that ethnic skins or black people don't need sunscreen. Half of the people I meet will say, well, I don't need sunscreen because we're black, And so that's something that I'm passionate about, ensuring that people understand that we also need sunscreen, especially in our climate. And what better way than to suggest it and also say, well, here's also a product by a Botswana that has been studied and is great for your skin type. So that would be great as well. And in terms of training, I find a lot of the therapists, or when I'm looking to hire, have basic training for cosmetology, if I can say that, the nails, the massages, and so on. But in terms of aesthetic procedures, a lot of them are unfamiliar with chemical peels, microneedling, and some are for doctors only, but there's a lot that can be learned within the therapist space. So I'm interested in training and upskilling therapists in the industry to kind of incorporate aesthetics into their services as well.
If you ever find yourself in a room full of young hopefuls, hoping to go into maybe medicine as general practitioners or a specialist or in the space of medical aesthetics, what would you tell them?
I would tell them that it's a very exciting and dynamic field. There's always new things that come up that help with various issues. I would say it's a costly space to be in. The investment in yourself, the training is quite expensive, and it's something that a lot of people, because we live in the country that we do and everything is sponsored, it shakes you a bit to say, well, nobody's coming to save you, no one's coming to pay your tuition, so this is how much it costs, and you have to kind of be willing to part with that initial investment. I would say it's a fulfilling and a wonderful space to be in, and definitely worthwhile. Don't limit yourself, especially to what you've studied. Being in the economy that we're in now and seeing the rate of unemployment in young people, I think it's time to think outside the box and explore. I talked about how people are multifaceted. So just because you were trained in one thing, it doesn't mean you can't do something else. And oftentimes even the simplest things yield the most profit. And so I would encourage anybody to say, it's okay to look at other options and to explore other career paths, whether it's pivoting or whether it's just gaining a new skill that will enable you to start your business, and to just not be afraid to start where you are, It doesn't take, you don't need all the money in the world to start a business. You don't need all the clients in the world. 1 or 2 people that are happy with what you're providing, the service or product, will tell their friends will tell their other friends. And so don't be afraid to start small, start where you are, and the sky is the limit.
tla bitsa motho gore motho a leke mangwala go duela metsi.
Mama, ka maledi ana ha o tlhoka le go tsamela kgakala gore go duela metsi. FNB re diretse tiro motlho.
Senthe.
Mma, kwa go marekisetsong a ile gore ana le tshwao la FNB Cash Plus. Se se tlhokanyela ke o mang wa gago mo tirisong le reference number e bong dinomoro tse di diriswang go ruragatsa dituelo tsa gago.
FNB what?
FNB Cash Plus.
madona makante ke mo ntse samplele ka mananeo a FNB ya Cash Plus.
Hela, ha re le nna ke gone ke utlwang ka dona. Ebile ke ne ke sa dumele.
Deposit cash and coins, withdraw from e-wallet, make cardless cash withdrawals, buy prepaid airtime and electricity, pay bills such as water, electricity and many more.
FNB.
Dona. Nyawa ene ke ra sa thare. Mpare motiki. Na ke ra go motho hela mamarapedi. Botola skontere hela. Wa go semosong wa go duela semosong. Manane wa FNB Cash Plus.
This is the product of 7 failures, failed ventures.
I've got 2 failed businesses to show for my sins. The journey of an entrepreneur is quite long and full of challenges.
We're in the segment where solutions for entrepreneurs are delivered by industry experts and service providers. This week, we talked to Thabane Nehemiah, commercial credit manager at one of the local commercial banks. Our conversation tonight endeavors to highlight some of the products to help you achieve your growth goals and where to go to access them. Our conversation with him anchors on credit solutions that exist for you as an entrepreneur. Because imagine you've been running your enterprise for a few years and revenue is great, but you believe it could be more. But remember, increasing profits means scaling up products and services, and that requires funding from funds you don't have. What then could be the next step? Thabane, thank you so much for coming on First Issues and affording us your time. We're here today to talk about funding for entrepreneurs. Do we have any resources or programs or, funding for entrepreneurs?
We do have funding solutions for entrepreneurs. Effectively, what we do is we encourage growth. So we do want our businesses to be currently operating, and we will fund their growth.
Essentially, our conversation is around the simple entrepreneur, right? The not so sophisticated, the not so huge multinationals. So how do you go about funding them?
Okay, that's a great question. So as you would know, we have a lot of, I'd say, grassroots businesses that start from the bottom up, and we do love and encourage their growth. We would like to tend to call them simple entrepreneurs, and we do have funding solutions for them. There's a product called Scored Credit, where we just look at the behavior of a client in terms of our system. So you do have to be an FNB client. And then what we would do is we would look at your behavior pattern, your deposits, if you've ever had a credit card, how that works. And then upon that, we would be able to afford you facilities. So with Scored Credit, there are 3 products that we actually offer our clients. There's the asset-backed financing. It goes up to 1 million pula. And then there is your term loan, goes up to 500,000 pula. And then an overdraft, which is for working capital facilities, that would be up to 500,000 pula. For the West Bank, we call it asset-backed financing. This would be for a typical entrepreneur trying to finance machinery. So it's attached to an asset. And then an overdraft is a working capital facilities. This would be for your buying your stock, paying your creditors, and just to run the day-to-day of the business. And then a term loan is a mixed use. So if you want to, say, get into possible stock and assets purchase, you take a term loan.
As much as we want to be talking for solution,
talking about solutions for the simple entrepreneur. There are other entrepreneurs who are more sophisticated and have been in the business for a very long time and are actually doing very well. So what about those? Do you have any solutions for them?
Absolutely. I think this one is the more expansive credit solutions that we have for those entrepreneurs. I'd like to think of them in 4 categories. The short-term financing solutions, we do have your vanilla overdrafts. That's for working capital, as I had mentioned. And then we have what we call debtor financing, where we would look and vet your debtors and take them on board and finance against those. We do have what we call single invoice discounting. So as an entrepreneur, say you have one big client, a blue chip business that has given you a job and you've got an invoice for that, we can finance against that invoice. And then for the longer term financing solutions, we have what we call commercial property financing if you want to buy a property. We do have term loans. We do have what we'd call your asset-backed West Bank facilities. And then the third category, I would say, trading facilities. Trading facilities, your guarantees, your letters of credit if you are an entrepreneur who basically imports from other countries, we can offer LCs. And then we have purchase order finance. That's very popular currently, where you'd get government purchase orders, and then you'd come to the bank and we would finance against that. And I think lastly are the softer credit facilities, your business credit cards and the like. Yeah.
Thabane, thank you so much once again for coming on First Issues and affording us your time to have this conversation. Before we end it though, how else do you as a bank help entrepreneurs aside from credit?
So that's a great question. What we like to think of ourselves as FNB is a 360 bank. So not only do we offer credit facilities, we do offer deposit solutions. You can save in pounds, US dollars. You can have access to eWallet Pros. You can have access to a great FX team that will support you. Over and beyond that, I think we just are there to walk the journey with our clients.
This program was proudly brought to you by First National Bank of Botswana.